affordability, getting ahead, finding a less busy neighborhood. These are all reasons people make the decision to head further east and sell when they live in the west. Neighborhoods like Coquitlam, Burnaby, Surrey, Langley. I'm Joe Pratap with RE/MAX, and every year I get more and more messages from people thinking about making the move to areas like Abbotsford, British Columbia, and Chilliwack, British Columbia. And in this video, we're going to go over some of the key differences between the two cities so that if you're thinking about moving to Abbotsford or Chilliwack, you can use this video to make the best decision for your families. Let's get right into it. But before we do so, let me introduce myself in case you found this channel for the first time. I'm Joe Pratap. I'm a realtor who's been selling real estate in the Fraser Valley for the last 15 years. And if you find videos like this helpful, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so that we can stay connected. All right, now, before we get started, I wanted to say something really quickly. Before my wife and I made the decision to move our family to Abbotsford, British Columbia, about 10 years ago, the main reason was to get ahead. See, at that time, we lived in Cloverdale, Surrey, British Columbia, and buying a detached home was unobtainable for us at that time. Most of the detached homes were selling in excess of $1 million back then. We made the decision to move to Abbotsford because you could buy that same type of home that was over $1 million for approximately 8% less than what it was selling for in Cloverdale at that time. And with my line of work, being a realtor, I drive everywhere regardless, so my commute sucks anyway. We made the decision to move to Abbotsford. It was less expensive. We got ahead when we sold our property in Cloverdale. And that was the main reason our family made the decision to move to Abbotsford. Now for this video, in comparing Abbotsford to Chilliwack, we're gonna try and focus on 4 main things. So we're gonna do a side-by-side comparison of the two cities on these 4 topics. The first one is gonna be the cost of living, how much it costs to buy a home or rent a home in the respective cities. The second thing we're gonna talk about is the school system and the amenities in both those cities. The third item that we're going to talk about is jobs and opportunities. And the fourth and most certainly not least item that we're going to talk about is a little bit about the public transit commuting times if you happen to live in those two cities. Now, the first city that we're going to look at is going to be Abbotsford, BC. And we're going to start with comparing the cost of rent in Abbotsford, BC. Taking a look at the average cost of rent, according to 𝐁𝐸, the average cost of a condo to rent in the city of Abbotsford is currently sitting just below $1,800 per month. Now that would be both 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom condos on average, the cost being just below $1,800 a month. Now, when we move into a townhome and we look at the average cost of renting a townhouse in Abbotsford, BC, the current median rent of a townhome sits at just below $2,600 per month. Now, that is a townhouse. Moving on to single-family homes, when we're looking at detached single-family homes, again, according to 𝐁𝐸, the average cost to rent a single-family home in Abbotsford, BC is just below $4,000, $3,886 to be exact. Those are the rental rates currently in the city of Abbotsford. Now let's take a look at what it would cost you to purchase a home in the city of Abbotsford. All right, so when we're talking about owning a home, purchasing a home in the city of Abbotsford, let's take a look at the average numbers. As of August 2025, the average sale price of a condo in the city of Abbotsford was just over $472,000. When we look at a townhome, the cost to purchase a townhouse in Abbotsford, the average sale price of a townhome was just over $645,000. All right, now moving over to single family homes. If you're looking to purchase a detached home in Abbotsford, the average price of a detached home is sitting just over 1.2 million. Now, that doesn't mean that that is the price of all of the homes in Abbotsford. This is just the average of the sale prices. Owning a home in Abbotsford right now, in the market we're in right now, you can also purchase a used detached home under $1 million. I've seen townhouses in the low 600,000s, and I've also seen condos selling in the mid 400,000s, even lower if you're looking for something like an age-restricted condo or maybe a 55-plus condo. Now let's take a few minutes and talk about the school system in Abbotsford, BC, as well as some of the amenities in Abbotsford, BC. Starting with the school system, you should know that in the city of Abbotsford, it is a tiered school system, which is not common throughout the entire province, but it is in specific areas. And that means that kindergarten to grade 5 is going to be your elementary school. We have middle school, which is grade 6 to grade 8, and then high school, which is grade 9 to grade 12. So you have the tiered system in Abbotsford. Personally, I'm a fan of it, especially if your kids are in those ages going into the next school. I know my son transitioning to middle school had an easier time than a lot of our friends who don't have the tiered school system. So that is something that some people do find important. In Abbotsford, there is a great school system. A lot of people move directly into communities like Sandy Hill, like McMillan, Eagle Mountain, areas in West Abbotsford, and schools like Chief Dan George. A lot of people move into those communities around these schools because they happen to be very popular by reputation. The school system in Abbotsford has a fantastic reputation, and if you're into French immersion, or if you're into alternative schooling or private schooling like Christian schools, we have a phenomenal program at schools like Abbotsford Christian. MEI is another private school that has a fantastic reputation. And another thing about many of the schools throughout the city of Abbotsford, a lot of them are known for not just for their academic programs, but for their sports programs as well. For example, Yale Secondary, which has a phenomenal reputation for both the Hockey Academy and the Baseball Softball Academy. And Yale Secondary School is located in East Abbotsford. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the amenities in Abbotsford and the recreation. Starting with the shopping, in the shopping and amenities area, we've got really two of the big shopping areas throughout the city of Abbotsford. We have High Street Mall, which is the biggest and newest shopping mall in the city of Abbotsford. That's located off of Mount Lehman, which is just across where the Abbotsford Auto Mall is. There are a lot of big box stores there like the Gap and H&M, as well as that is where the only movie theater in Abbotsford, BC is located, which is at High Street Mall. Now, a little bit further east, we have Seven Oaks Mall and West Oaks Mall, which are the older shopping malls in the city of Abbotsford. Over there, you'll find some shopping and some stores like Foot Locker, Sport Chek, Best Buy. There's a few of the bigger box stores over there, and that's located along South Fraser Way, which is kind of central Abbotsford. That's where the two main shopping malls are. Now, when we're talking about recreation, the recreation in Abbotsford, the arenas, the pools, and the parks, they are a little bit behind compared to many of the municipalities throughout the Lower Mainland. But in this video, we're comparing Abbotsford and Chilliwack specifically side by side. And unfortunately, the recreation, the parks, the arenas, and the pools, they are actually a little bit further behind than the city of Chilliwack. Many of the arenas are a lot older. Many of the parks are in need of an upgrade. Things like splash parks and projects aren't currently a big priority for the city of Abbotsford. And when it comes to recreation and those items, the city is a little bit behind. Now let's take a minute and talk about the job opportunities and the job sector in Abbotsford, BC. And three of the biggest employers in the city of Abbotsford, BC, you're probably not shocked to hear this, but the first one being Abbotsford Regional Hospital and Fraser Health. That is the largest employer in the city. The second one being the University of the Fraser Valley. Now, the University of the Fraser Valley serves over 9,000 undergraduate students for a total of 15,000 students enrolled, which is a big deal. The University of the Fraser Valley, which is located on the south side of the highway next to the Abbotsford Centre, which is home to the Abbotsford Canucks. Now, the third biggest employer is the School District 34, which is the Abbotsford School District. Now, the aerospace industry in Abbotsford is actually really large, and in that space provides a lot of job opportunities and employment opportunities, having an international airport in the city of Abbotsford. Now, next on our list is public transit and commuting. Let's tackle commuting first. If you lived in Abbotsford and you were heading into areas like Surrey and Vancouver and maybe YVR, picking or dropping somebody off, from Abbotsford to Surrey, it takes you approximately 45 minutes on Highway 1. And from Abbotsford to Vancouver, you're sitting just over an hour and 20 minutes to get to downtown Vancouver. And if you're heading to YVR International Airport, it will take you about an hour and 25 minutes to get to the airport. Now, when you're in Abbotsford, you do have the option of crossing into Mission, and Mission is home to the West Coast Express. It is a rapid transit line that travels from Lougheed Highway all the way to downtown Vancouver, and this is an option for a lot of people who live in both Abbotsford and in Chilliwack to get downtown without having to drive your vehicle all the way downtown. Now, when it comes to transit, if you're from a city like Surrey or Vancouver or Coquitlam and you're relocating to Abbotsford, you're probably going to be disappointed in the lack of transit, specifically rapid transit, because in Abbotsford, we don't have the SkyTrain. The closest feeder route to Vancouver is crossing into another city, being Mission, to head down. And something that I've come to realize is you pretty much need a vehicle in Abbotsford unless you live close to Central Abbotsford or the University of the Fraser Valley, where the land is a little bit flatter and more buses are traveling throughout the week. If you happen to live on the east side of town, you've got a lot of hills, you got a lot of mountains. The transit system on the east side of town is not great. All right, so let's flip the script and we're gonna compare how all of that compares to the city of Chilliwack, British Columbia. All right, now when we're taking a look of the cost of living, purchasing a home and renting a home in Chilliwack, BC, let's start with the cost of renting a home. Starting with the condo. So a condo right now in the city of Chilliwack, British Columbia, the average rent for a condo is currently sitting just over $1,700. Now, these rents are coming from Zumper, and Zumper is a source for very accurate rental information. Now, in comparison to what we just discovered with Abbotsford, the condo rent is actually very similar. It is slightly less expensive. Looking at townhomes, the average rent for a townhome in the city of Chilliwack, BC was just over $2,100. Now, this is a almost 10% difference in pricing between Abbotsford and Chilliwack. So a townhome, very interesting, is quite a bit less expensive in Chilliwack, BC. Now, let's lastly take a look at the cost of renting a single family home in Chilliwack, BC. Now, Chilliwack actually has significantly more affordable detached rental options, and it also has higher vacancy rates. So there are more homes to choose from when it comes to renting a home in Chilliwack. And the average rent of a detached home is currently sitting at $3,300 in Chilliwack, BC, which is quite a bit more affordable than Abbotsford, British Columbia. Now let's take a look at the cost of owning or purchasing a home in Chilliwack, BC. All right, now of course, the further you head east in our beautiful province of British Columbia, the less expensive it always is to purchase a home. So it should be no surprise that Chilliwack, BC is more affordable to purchase than Abbotsford. Let's take a look at the numbers. According to the MLS for the month of August, the average condo sale price in Chilliwack was just below $400,000. Now, when we look at townhomes, the average townhome in Chilliwack sold at $617,000, quite a bit less than what it costs in Abbotsford, BC. And the biggest difference is on single family homes, the detached home market. The average detached home sold in Chilliwack, BC for $912,000. Now that is a big difference in price between Abbotsford and Chilliwack. So the biggest opportunity, if you're a purchaser or a renter and looking at the two different cities, Abbotsford and Chilliwack, is the cost of living in Chilliwack is substantially less to both rent and purchase. Now, next on the list, when we're talking schools and the school system in Chilliwack, BC, you might be surprised to hear that the school system in Chilliwack, BC is one of the best in the entire province. Now, from somebody who helps a lot of younger families move and relocate, I can tell you neighborhoods like Sardis, for example, Promontory, these are very, very common neighborhoods that people move into because the school systems are very, very good. If you're into French immersion, there are also options for French immersion. Schools like 𝐁𝐨𝐤 Elementary offer early French immersion programs, and I know that Chilliwack Middle School and Vetter Middle School also offer late French immersion programs starting at grade 6. The school district of Chilliwack is one of the most respected and one of the best school systems in the entire province of Chilliwack, BC. Now, when we're talking about amenities and shopping, there is a movie theater, there is a shopping mall located in the Vetter area of Chilliwack, BC called Cottonwood, and it is a downgrade in shopping experience from the city of Abbotsford. There are still stores that you would spend money at and like to go to. The Canadian Tire in Vetter is actually one of the best Canadian Tires in the entire province, but in terms of the mall, the shopping, the experience, Chilliwack, BC does not have the same options that you will see in other cities like Abbotsford, BC. Now, when we're talking employment opportunities and jobs, the three biggest employers in Chilliwack, BC, probably you would have guessed it, similar to Abbotsford, the School District 33, which is Chilliwack, is one of the largest employers in the entire city, as well as Fraser Health, which is Chilliwack General Hospital. Chilliwack General Hospital has over 45,000 staff and volunteers. And last but most certainly not least, the University of the Fraser Valley, Chilliwack. Now, the Chilliwack campus, which is located on the south part of Chilliwack, south of Highway 1. And honorable mentions to two of the newer manufacturing companies in Chilliwack, BC, both the Molson Coors warehouse, which employs over 400 locals right off of Highway 1, and the coming soon new Red Bull factory, which is going to be just next door to the Molson Coors factory. That'll be home to over 500 new job opportunities for Chilliwack, BC residents. Now, when we're talking commuting and public transit, if you live in Chilliwack and you're commuting to Abbotsford, you're about a half an hour into Abbotsford, so you can add 30 minutes to your travel times to Surrey, British Columbia, to Vancouver, BC, or to Mission if you're heading to the West Coast Express. Now, when it comes to public transit, Chilliwack is slightly better than Abbotsford when it comes to things like bus schedules, but there is still no rapid transit in Chilliwack, BC. So if you're moving from an area like Coquitlam, Surrey, where you're used to the SkyTrain, or a busier city like Toronto, for example, you may be disappointed. There is no rapid transit options. All right, so that concludes the side-by-side comparison of living in Abbotsford, BC to Chilliwack, BC. So if you are thinking about relocating and making the move further east, you're coming to Abbotsford or you're coming to Chilliwack, hopefully you found this video helpful in making your decision. Now, truthfully, both cities, Abbotsford and Chilliwack, are absolutely phenomenal places to live. You are surrounded by wilderness, hiking trails, lakes. your close proximity to things like the US border, or if you're driving out of town, either into Vancouver or up to Kelowna, Kamloops, for example. And I truly believe you won't be disappointed with living in either of these two cities. Now, I'm Joe Pratap with RE/MAX. I've been selling real estate for the better half of the last 15 years. If you have any questions about living in Abbotsford or Chilliwack, you can reach me anytime at 604-992-0616 or click the link below this video to schedule a call with me at a time that's convenient for you. Thanks for watching.